Happy International Ninja Day. I'm so glad to have you here. And we are celebrating holiday harmony today in our first ever live virtual podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, Greg, Susan, Adam, Farnaz. So great to have you here. I am Lisa Spector, your piano ninja, here to make everything easier for you at the piano so you sound like a piano ninja. And so, who knew? If you knew that there was such thing as an International Ninja Day, put I in the chat. And if you can't, if you're watching this and can't access the chat, depending on whether you're on mobile or desktop, there's an arrow drop down going from comments to chat, and you just have to click that on. And if you're a pianist watching, and you probably are, put in the chat the last piece of music that you practiced, whether it was today, a week ago, a year ago, doesn't matter, whenever you practice that. Scott, thanks for joining us from France and International Ninja Night in Paris. And Jay, so nice to see you. So great to have you here. So we're putting in the chat the last piece of music that we played. And to tell you the truth, it was a last minute idea, like 5 minutes ago, to come up with, let's start with some holiday music. So started with that to start off this festive season. And so let's start with, first of all, make sure you stay tuned to the end, because I'm going to talk about a free challenge I'm going to invite you to create a stress-free 12 days of harmony holiday with less practicing, less stress, and more productivity. So for a second, I'm just going to interject. Greg, the Brahms Opus 119 number 4 is such a beautiful piece. The Adam is playing the Rachmaninoff Second Sonata, no easy feat, and Susan, the Consolation by Mendelssohn, which is so beautiful. I was reading through that the other night. So we are not only celebrating International Ninja Day, but we're talking about how to have more productive practice sessions. And at the end, I'll be taking your questions too. So for those of you, some of you are here from my Piano Ninja Tricksters Club. So you are very familiar with my Piano Ninja Tricks. So feel free to interject your comments. David, I just saw you join on too, and Susan, so great to have you. So feel free, as I talk about these very core basic Piano Ninja tricks, if you're familiar with them, feel free to chime in on your experience with them, or anything that you've had, particular piece of music maybe that you've applied it to. I know Adam just learned an incredibly demanding program, including the third scherzo and third ballade of Chopin, and played it, performed it in 6 weeks, applying all these Piano Ninja tricks, and told me if he hadn't known the tricks, it would have taken him, I think you said, half a year to learn the ballade. So they really do accelerate your learning when you're doing one thing at a time, where we're going to be talking today quite a bit about how to do one thing at a time. So the first thing I'm going to demonstrate with is, I'm going to just interject. I need to, so give me 1 second. And while I'm doing that, if you could put in the chat, what music are you aspiring to work on, maybe during the holiday season? Maybe it's something you just mentioned you played, but what other music? And give me just 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the challenge at the end. I'm going to be doing this with you. And to make it easier, for those of you who are listening later in the podcast, not watching, I'm taking off my piano gloves. They're very playing. And I'm going to demonstrate my most basic Piano Ninja trick with the section of the Mozart K33, the B-flat sonata. Cyclical rhythm. I start everything with rhythm. I encourage you to start everything with rhythm. I am not a huge metronome fan. That's for another podcast episode. But basically, it's because I want your rhythm to be internal. I want to create such a strong rhythm that you're your metronome. I use and recommend metronomes for certain purposes. I don't hate them. I just don't like to have you use them all the time. So in this Mozart, I am going to demonstrate cyclical rhythm. So think of cyclical rhythm of you're in a department store and there is an escalator. People are coming on and off that escalator at different speeds. They're walking at different speeds, but the escalator doesn't adjust the speed based on the speed of or tempo. We want to say tempo of the people. It stays steady. That your rhythm is the escalator. You're it's always going. It doesn't stop when people exit the escalator. It doesn't start when people enter the escalator. Everyone would be falling over the place if that happens. People that don't have practice with cyclical rhythm, things are falling all over the place. Now, I also want to interject and tell you that cyclical rhythm is my own terminology. I made this up, but I didn't make up the concept. I just made up the practicality of it. So what I mean by that is when I talk to professional musicians all the time, they say, "Oh yeah, I do that." So it's very natural for a professional musician to do this, but maybe not even know they do this. But I want you to be totally intentional about it and do it all the time. So I'm gonna start the opening of this Mozart sonata, and um I am going to intentionally kind of mess up a section, and I am going to then do it the way I don't want you to do it. I'm gonna stop and start. So very much like a car. If you're like stopped at a stop sign and you actually turned off your car and then had to restart it every time you go, that's what you don't want to do. So I'm going to demonstrate how you don't want to do it after this section, and then I'm going to intentionally mess up, and then I'm going to show you how you do want to apply cyclical rhythm. Let's see, where was I? You know what? I'll go back to the beginning. I've just wasted about a minute doing nothing. There was no purpose in me going back to the beginning. The beginning was fine. I hear pianists do this all the time, and they're practicing. Don't go isolate the section you need to work on. So I'm going to just demonstrate a little more of not using cyclical rhythm in this section. There's no rhythm going. Let's see. So I'm just fumbling all over the place intentionally. Don't do that at home. So what I'm trying to exaggerate on is there's no rhythm. There's no continuity. So now I am going to isolate that section, and I am going to just work on that one measure, keeping in mind a couple things. Always, 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 when you isolate a section, stop on a beat. Never stop between beats. It's like talking and then stopping right there, right? You don't want to stop between beats. Stop on a beat. Sometimes it's the downbeat, sometimes it's not, but just never in between beats. Stop on a beat. And the reason why is because otherwise, if you stop between beats, you have practiced this section. For those of you listening on the podcast and not watching, my hands are up and I'm showing a section of music and then moving over to another section of music. What happens to the part that holds them together? You have a break. You've practiced a pause. Now you got to unlearn that and unpractice the pause. So you want to go right from one section to the other. So if you're overlapping a beat, that's how you remove the pause, and you never have to come back and practice that. You have to never have to undo that. So I'm in cyclical rhythm. The rhythm is going. No matter when I stop, the rhythm is going. It's still going. Now I'm on the beat. I'm on the third beat. I'm going to put those together. I'm talking, but the rhythm is still going. That tempo is still there. Now it went well, so the last thing I wanted to do is go on. This is another piano ninja trick, but I can't. It's almost impossible to just do one, which is reinforce, reinforce, reinforce what goes well. So you want to remember it the next time you practice it, whether it's tomorrow or a week from now. Now I have it. Now I'll go back to the beginning. I'm still in cyclical rhythm. The rhythm is still going. In my opinion, if I'm sitting on the piano bench, the rhythm is going. And so forth. And I would probably do that probably 3 times then before I go on. So you're isolating this section, you're playing that in cyclical rhythm, you're stopping on the beat, and you're reinforcing. So those are, I talk a lot about one thing at a time, but I kind of consider that one thing. So when you're practicing, put in the chat, put in a piece of music, whether you've already mentioned it in the chat so far or not. What is a piece of music that you could apply that to, like today, like that you could apply practicing one measure of music that you could apply practicing that cyclical rhythm to? So while you do that, I'm going to go on to another really very basic piano ninja trick, which I call quick reflex motion. Again, this is my terminology. Other pianists may do this, may not know they do it. They might know they do it. I don't know. But my terminology, and this is something that at first appears like you can only apply it to big jumps, but it's not true. You can apply it to everything. Yeah, I'm going to demonstrate with larger jumps because it's more obvious, but then you're going to be able to apply it to smaller sections, smaller leaps as well. So in this Brahms, this is a Brahms 116 number 3, the Capriccio, and the beginning of it has smaller quick reflex motion and then it moves into larger. So I'm going to start where it's more obvious. So quick reflex motion is keeping in mind that rule you learned in math and maybe 8th grade? I don't know. That's the shortest, maybe it's algebra, I don't know. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. The same thing is at the piano. When you have a jump and you're using this exaggerated over motion, you are wasting all of this space. For those of you listening, not watching, I'm demonstrating by showing my hand making a big arch. Instead, if you're jumping these 2.5 octaves, you want to move as quickly and as directly as possible. So it's a shorter distance. It's just physics. You get there faster, and it's a measurement you're putting in your body that gets as secure and precise as if you were taking a ruler and measuring something, so that it feels in your body so accurate that you can do it with your eyes closed. And if after you've practiced in quick reflex motion, when it's not accurate, because that happens to all of us, you just feel it without even hearing or looking at it. So I'm going to demonstrate these bigger jumps in my left hand in the Brahms. So I have these big jumps. So I'm going to demonstrate first how not to do it, how this is not quick reflex motion. I'm going to waste a lot of time. I'm going to get there just in time, but I'm not going to get there early, and I'm moving a lot of excess motion. So instead, I'm going to move quickly. I'm going to do it 2 more times, and then I'm going to do it with my eyes closed. And I meant to stop on the downbeat. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. Now I'm going to do it with my eyes closed. My eyes were closed. So it wasn't a problem. 3 times I practiced it. Now this is an old piece for me, but I haven't practiced it in a while. So it just comes back to me because you're putting something in your body. Your body remembers. Your body does not lie. Who remembers when you were a child? Put C in the chat if you do. Remember when you were a child, you went to the doctor and they would do an instrument. Do they still do that these days? At least you with kids, let me know. do they still do that where they, have a device and clicks, it touches your kneecap and then it's a quick auto response called the reflex. Well, that's what we're doing here. We're doing the exact same thing of we're building in that quick reflex to our playing. So if I put that section all together with the right hand, my left hand it's like autopilot. It just goes without me thinking. I used a little too much space. I used too much, and I'm not beating myself up over that. It's information. It's good information. When things don't go right, you want to observe it. You don't want to beat yourself up. You just want to notice it so you know what to correct. So it was a little mechanical, I thought, but I think it's just when I put it in context of the music. So I'm going to now start at the beginning of that section and notice in my left hand, I'm still using quick reflex motion, even though I'm only moving a second or a third at a time in some cases. But I want to get there early so I have complete control of the sound. And I've, again, excuse me, built in that reflex. That was, again, information. I missed a chord, so it's okay. I went from, so I need to practice that reflex. So I'm going to do it 3 times looking. Now I'm going to close my eyes. My eyes are closed. I'm doing it again. Now I'm going to put it in context of that section, and I'm in cyclical rhythm. So I'm combining these two things, cyclical rhythm and quick reflex motion. One more time. For those of you who know this piece, I'm intentionally leaving out some notes in the right hand. I'm working with a recovery right hand from a limited reach from 2017 fall crash and burn and 4 surgeries, 7 fractures. That's not the point. The point is that my belief is screw perfect, just make music. I'm still going to play this piece even if I have to leave out some notes. That is my motto, and I even have it on a notebook, which some of you who were at my retreat this summer have. It's going to be available to all. So screw perfect, just make music, holding up a black notebook with my teal logo on it, and it's going to be available for Christmas for those of you who don't have it yet. So that is a combination of quick reflex motion with some cyclical rhythm. Now I want to address how to correct notes. So Farnaz, I'm so glad you're here because you had asked a question I'm gonna address in a little bit, which is I want to talk about how to correct notes, and then I'll answer your question. So I actually don't believe there isn't anything as a wrong note or an incorrect note. There is only getting to a wrong note. No matter what, even if it's the first chord of a piece, you are coming from somewhere. You don't play an incorrect note because it's the incorrect note. You play an incorrect note because you're not getting to that note in the best way. So I'm going to use an example of the Revolutionary Etude, and I'm going to do something so obvious that everyone will hear, is I'm going to play D flat in this chord instead of D natural. And I'm going to do it how you do not want to do it at home. So I'm going to play it from the wrong note to the right note, and then I'll tell you why you never want to do that. Okay, so I have just trained my body to go from here. I play the wrong note. Oh, I know, it's not a D flat, it's a D natural. So the next time I do it, my body's not going to forget that. And it's going to remember, oh, that's right. Like she told me I should go from the G to the D flat and then to the D, which is not what you want to do. You want to go back a step and go from the G to this chord. So I hear pianists doing it all the time. It's the simplest thing to fix quickly of how you approach an incorrect note. You have to go back a step, even if it's the first note of the piece. So if the first chord of the piece is this and I play it wrong, I've gone from my lap or wherever my hand is coming from to that first chord, and I don't want to then correct it. I want to go from here. For those of you listening, not watching, my right hand's on my lap. Now it's on the keyboard. So that it's always coming from somewhere. So again, if I'm playing that, how I would practice this correctly if I accidentally played an incorrect note to start. I would just go to here 3 times, back to the beginning. Now, I will also add that those 3 piano ninja tricks I've talked about, cyclical rhythm, quick reflex, and now how to correct a note, are built. Those are habits that I don't think about, just like you brush your teeth at night and you don't think about it, right? So, but when if you're new here and you're learning these, don't do them all at once. You will make faster progress. Maybe Adam, you can comment on this, because the way that he just learned this demanding program in 6 weeks is because when he started me as a founding member of the Piano Ninja Tricksters Club, I met him the end of 2020. We started the club in 2021, and he has applied 1 piano ninja trick at a time, which is and stayed with it till it became a habit, so he doesn't have to think about it, which is how we went from Clementi sonatinas back then to now learning programs with a third Ballade and third scherzo of Chopin in 6 weeks, and also playing the Liszt Dante Sonata. So it's so tempting to apply them all at once, but don't. You will make faster progress if you hold yourself back and do one at a time. I'm going to be helping you through that through our holiday challenge I'm going to get to in a moment. So put in the chat so what music you can apply that you're working on, that you can apply these things to. And again, they become habits. Research shows that it takes 21 to 66 days for something to be a habit. It doesn't have to be consecutive days. It could be less. So that's research. It doesn't mean everyone. It could be less. It could be more. So be patient, but it really, really does add up. So Shauna, so nice to see you. No problem that you just joined. And Seth, so great to see you as well. And so now we are going on to talk about the challenge. So who here typically, and I'm going to raise my hand on this one, who here typically has put an S in the comments if you typically in the past have had stressful Decembers? Put an S in the comments. Including me. I will tell you right off the top, December is normally my least favorite month of the year, and I am determined to change that this year. So I am determined to not only make it stress-free for me, but to make it stress-free for you. So Adam, Shauna, Jay typically has very stressful Decembers. There's a lot going on. There's deadlines. There's end of the year stuff. If you're own your business or working for a company where, end of the year is really important. And then there's the holiday shopping, and then there's the family stuff, and then there's the political climate, and there's a whole bunch of things. But we are lucky. We have music. We have music to help us de-stress. So I want your December to be as stress-free as possible. So I have created the 12 Days to Holiday Harmony Challenge. It's free, and it's the goal is minimal practice, with some days not practicing at all, minimal practice and major progress. So give me 1 second, and I'm going to highlight it. So it is on screen now. So it is at lisaspector.com/harmony. So that you will be getting free daily suggestions. We start a week from today. So we start December 12th, and it's going to go to the 23rd. So it's 12 days of holiday harmony. You'll be getting daily tips not to practice more. but to practice less. And I'm realizing as I'm talking this, Farnaz, I just saw your comment and I forgot to address. I want to go back. I'm going to come back to the Harmony Challenge in a second. I'm going to go back to one other thing I want to talk about, which is when you're correcting notes. Is she asked, how do you not freeze? So here's how you don't freeze. We've all had that. If you've ever frozen when you play a wrong note, put an F in the comments. You don't want to go from the practice room to the stage or the video performance or whatever it is with just for the first time ever practicing unfreezing. You want to practice unfreezing when you're practicing, right? So what you want to do is at home when no one's there, when it's easiest for you, you want to practice, like I said, with the incorrect notes and then going back a step to the correct note, but do that. I don't want to say all the time, but do it enough until it becomes comfortable. I don't know if that's 21 times. I don't know if that's 66 times. I don't know what it is for you. But in other words, what I mean by that is we're as pianists, we're alchemists. We change how we practice a little bit based on what stage our music is in. So let's say I'm learning this revolutionary etude, but I've never performed it and I have a wrong note and I correct it. I want to have times where I'm intentionally practicing. All my piano ninja tricks are about setting intentions around what you're doing when you're practicing. So I want to have a prime time that I'm telling myself, this time I'm practicing. I've learned the piece. I'm going to correct the notes by going back a beat and all the things I talked about earlier. This time I'm going to have a different intention. I'm now going to practice it so that I go on no matter what. So that means, and it's going to be hard for you at first, and then it's going to be less hard, and it's going to be less hard, and then eventually it's going to be easy. So in other words, you're not going from A to Z from your practice room to stage where you freeze. You're practicing the unfreezing while you're practicing. So you're like replicating a performance. What would you do in a performance? And if you freeze, just go back and do a little bit like you're practicing one measure, then go as it gets more comfortable, do 2 measures, and it gets more comfortable, then do 3 measures, but don't go from one measure to the entire piece. So Fernez, let me know if that answers your question in the comments. And it's nice to see some new people. Toby on Savor the Flavor, love your name. So so that is how you kind of practice unfreezing. It takes some time if that's become a habit in your practicing. Okay, so now back to the Harmony Challenge, lisaspector.com/harmony, 12 days to Harmony holiday. So what you will get when you sign up for this free challenge is, and even if you're already on my email list, and even if you're in the Piano Ninja Tricksters Club, sign up anyhow, because you will be getting these prompts. So during those 12 days, number one, I will have you join a new Telegram channel. So some of you here and all of our members are in a Telegram channel called the Piano Ninja Mindset Tricks, where every day I give them a 2-minute audio boost to help your productivity, your focus, your music, your relationship with music. Adam, I loved your comment you put in your Instagram reel this morning. If you've had experience with the Mindset Tricks, feel free to add a comment here. So I'm going to be starting another Telegram channel. It's going to be about 2-minute daily messages that are going to be practice prompts, but they're never, ever, ever will you hear me say, practice more today. You will often hear me say, practice less today, but practice smart today. And some days I will say, don't practice today. Now your schedule may be different from mine. So in that 12 days, I'm going to take 2 days off, and the other days I'm going to practice for 20 minutes. I may practice more than 20 minutes, but I am going to have 20-minute sessions. And in this, I don't have a link to it right now, but I heard some research the other day that was so fascinating that, because I kind of made up the 20 minutes based on how I work, but I heard research about when you take a break after 20 minutes, and I'm not talking about a break and go to your phone. I'm talking about break, go outside and take a walk or do something that clears your mind. You are more productive. So I want your practice sessions to be 20 minutes, no longer. You can do more than one. 20-minute session, but take breaks in between, and I'll include information and links to that research in the emails I send you, but it's not gonna be 12 days of emails, it's gonna be 12 days of these audio boosts with some emails. We're all overloaded with emails, I get it. So that is how to help you create holiday harmony. And I also promised you I would leave this open for questions. So I'm going to just get up a little closer and look at the chat and see if you have any questions about either the challenge or about your practicing. Maria, I never know how to pronounce her name. I love her playing. Maria Perez says that she never practices for more than 40 minutes at a time. I love it. So 40 minutes is also good. You could do 20 minutes, take a minute break, and then do another 20 minutes. I love it. I've heard an interview with Claude Frank's daughter, Pamela Frank, a fabulous violinist, a few years ago, saying, I mean, I'm incredible violinist, like huge repertoire and beautiful player. I studied with her mom, Lillian Clear, wonderful pianist. Never practiced more than 2 hours a day, ever. Like ever. Like you can get a lot done in that time. Mariah, I'm so glad you joined us from the Philippines, and glad you joined the Holiday Harmony Challenge for Fernez. I'm glad I answered your question. And Adam says, when I was practicing long hours for my concert, it took a break every 20 minutes and it made a huge difference. Good job. So there are exceptions. So Adam was under really intense deadline to get this program performed. So I know he was practicing a lot more than usual, but taking the breaks every 20 minutes really helped. And Toby says, how many hours, minutes do you practice most professionals? I can't speak for most professionals, and like what you said was you hear 6 hours. I did things in my youth I would never do again. The longest practice session I ever had one day was 9 hours. I was in France. I was in limited time studying with a Polish, French teacher who was fabulous. And luckily, I never got injured. But I also say luckily with big capital letters. Like I was lucky. I think I overpracticed when I was younger. When I was at Juilliard, I definitely overpracticed because the theory was practice more, you make it to Carnegie Hall. It's not true. It's just not true. It's a myth. The reason why it's a myth is because when you practice more, and if you're fatigued, and if you're practicing unintentionally just for the sake of practicing, because we have it in our heads that if I sit on the bench and practice more, I'm going to feel more confident. But it doesn't happen. So then you think, well, I just need to practice more, so I'll feel more confident. And it doesn't happen. So you think, well, I just need to practice more. And it never happens. It's a hamster wheel. Confidence doesn't come with more practice. Confidence comes from practicing intentionally. So you practice smart. If you're in my club, if you're in the Piano Ninja Tricksters Club, and if you've had this experience of practicing less and feeling more confident, can you put a C in the chat? Or you don't have to be in my club, for anyone who's experienced that. And Seth says, no stress for me equals follow the winter solstice, peacefulness. I love it. Yes, this is like it's getting darker earlier. That means like just do less. Yeah, more is not better. Less is actually better. So in terms of how many hours professional pianists speak, I don't know. I mean, everyone's different. I know Yu Zhe Wang, I just love her to no end. Love her playing. She says she doesn't like to practice, so I assume she doesn't practice much, but I don't know. But it has a huge repertoire. Adam, can you put the winner? I know you know his name of the last Van Cliburn competition. He's practicing 9 hours a day. I don't recommend that, and he's 21, probably 22 now, maybe 23. He's asking for an injury. Your body's not made for that. You don't need to be practicing that much. Now, when you're under like deadlines of learning music, as Adam was, there are periods of your life where you then do need to put on the gas pedal and practice more. But adding those 20-minute breaks, practicing in 20-minute sections, and adding those breaks in between really help a lot. Look through and see if there are any questions. Adam said he had to cancel concerts. Yeah. So Yu Chan Lin, and I love his playing. It's just exquisite. But he was practicing 9 hours a day, and he's only like 22, 23. He's 21 when he won the Van Cliburn. He had to cancel concerts from over practicing. So don't over practice. It's just I want you to experience this confidence with having less. So if you've signed up, a lot of you have signed up for the challenge. I love it. Share with your piano playing friends. It's free. And I want you to all, for those of you who know me, you know I'm obsessed with helping pianists accomplish more in less time. I experienced the opposite. I saw what happens at Juilliard. I see the repercussions of years and years of that and all the injured pianists. My injury came from a fall, from breaking my hand. It's never come from any overuse or anything I've done. I've always had this minimalist approach. I really learned a lot of it from Earl Wild. When my studies at Juilliard Wood, if you watched him play like this big man and he just didn't, his fingers barely moved, he taught me that. And a lot of that is my piano ninja tricks that I'm teaching you. You get them for free in this challenge. So, yes, it makes great sense with quality time. So great to see you here. Really have a fabulous International Ninja Day. Go rock your inner ninja so that everything becomes easier for you. And I am grabbing my iPad back, and now I am going to close this first live podcast episode. In the chat, if you'd like the live podcast, let's say once a month, put a P in the chat. I'd love to do this once a month. It's actually more fun recording it this way. And so I am going to leave you on a very peaceful holiday theme of Silent Night. A lot of P's in the chat. So maybe I'll do this I'll figure out, I'll let you know when you join the challenge when the next time I'll do this. Thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful International Ninja Day, and I'll see you in the challenge, lisaspector.com/harmony, where I'm helping you have a stress-free holiday season with less practice time and some days without practicing at all. And I'm also going to provide audio boosts to how to have productivity when you're not practicing.